Hello, listeners, and thanks for coming to another episode of Talking is Thinking. Today, I am very happy to have a guest on who I know for many years. It's the first guest that I've had on who knows me kind of pre-college, so it's interesting enough.
Your past
Uh,
life.
a past life. But I guess that's kind of what we're here to talk about as well, because I feel like I've transformed, developed, however you want to say it, through the kind of educational path and stuff I've done. And I feel like you've been on a path of transformation as well. But anyways, Emmet Bohn is here to talk to us about Hatha yoga and life in general. So welcome, Emmet.
Thank you, Dahi. It's good to be here.
Thanks for being on. As I said, it's
No problem. My pleasure.
good. So tell us, Emmet, what is Hatha yoga?
Hatha yoga. Okay, I suppose Hatha. I'll break down Hatha yoga for you. First, I'll get into the etymology of the word Hatha. Ha means sun, Ta means moon, which
Okay.
represents masculine and feminine energies. And I suppose Hatha yoga is, it's the balancing of the masculine and the feminine energies in your energetic field in your body and in your chakras. In that, you have two energy channels. One is called Ida and one is called Pingala, and they run from, we'll say, your root chakra, which is down at the base of your spine, and they run right all the way up along your spine and up to like your third eye, we'll say, in the middle of your forehead, which is called Ajna chakra, or your third eye.
Okay.
So Ida Pingala is like represents, it doesn't represent, it's a feminine energy. We all have masculine and feminine energy in us. It's all about balance and harmony between the two of them. So I suppose Hatha, a big part of Hatha yoga is balancing them energies. So like I said, you have Ida, Pingala are the two nadis. Nadis are energy channels in the body. So Ida is your feminine and Pingala is the masculine. So the Ida, the feminine, runs up along with, say, the left side of your spine, and Pingala runs up along the right side of your spine. In between them, you have another energy channel, which is the main channel called Sushumna Nadi, and that's the energy channel with practice. There's many ways. Kundalini can be awakened from your root chakra, Kundalini Shakti, which is known as the creative force of the universe.
Okay.
So I'm probably going a bit deep here now.
We'll start a bit bigger, but first of all, me and you worked on building sites a couple of times years ago. Do you remember?
I do.
And I just wonder how me and you on that building site
are now talking about this.
Would have, but how would we have reacted if me and you now had walked in there? Like, I'm a bit of a fucking tree hugging hippie, and now you're like a yogi.
A yogi.
Like, we would have slagged the shit out of the two boys coming in, wouldn't we?
Absolutely. Oh my God.
What's the fucking tree hugger and the yogi?
Yeah, you think this lad is just like bonkers. You know what I mean?
I know, but I'm the same. I'm the same.
It's true,
listening to philosophy and going into deep stuff and things like that. It's hard to think about and hard to face a lot of this stuff, but I think it's a very worthwhile journey.
Absolutely.
But when we were young men and a bit wild, and like we hung around on some of the same streets with some of the same rogues, and we done some of the same messing, you know what I mean? And the same party and the same boldness, and
it's literally like a past life. Seriously, when I think back, the way my life has changed over the course of the last 3.5 years since I quit my job. Working in a factory for 15 years, as you know, and just quitting in the middle of a pandemic, jumping on a plane to Mexico. Never in a million years did I think my life would end up on the track it's on with yoga, especially,
What was your like? I know you've traveled a bit. Tell us a few places that you went on your travels.
Prior to Mexico, where I kind of discovered yoga. Before that, 2016, I spent like 10 months backpacking around South America. I done most of that trip solo, 8 months of that trip solo. That for me was a game changer.
Really?
I traveled a lot before that with friends of mine all over the world. I had been to South America before, actually, Brazil and Argentina before that trip. I had been to like North America, various places in Europe. I'd been to like Thailand, Australia. Like I was well traveled, well
Yeah.
traveled. But that was the first trip I done where I traveled alone.
Okay. That was the first time you traveled alone then.
First time I traveled alone and
Okay.
backpacked around South America, Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Peru, Colombia. Learned a fair bit of Spanish. Got like intermediate level Spanish, and just got into hiking and things like that. Done a trip to the Amazon jungle. But that freedom, I took a year out of my job that time. That having a full year off, I remember many times in South America thinking like, "Oh my God, I have a year with no work." You know,
Yeah.
after working for 15 years, like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
since I was 17, I was 37 when I went to South America. So like for working for like 20 years,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
loads of holidays, loads of travels in between. Don't get me wrong, had a great life.
Yeah.
But like to be over in South America with money in the bank,
Yeah.
eventually after a few months having a good grasp on the language,
Yeah.
that was a game changer for the trip as well. Yeah.
What was the game changing element of going by yourself?
Number one, it pushed me to learn a language, but I already had, like I was very interested in learning Spanish. I really liked the language, so I picked it up pretty fast. But that was one of the number one things. Number two, you have to be more outgoing.
Okay.
You know, so if
Yeah.
you go to a hostel on your own, you know, you got to make a bit more of an effort
Yeah.
to be social and to be outgoing and stuff like that. And
Rather than when you have a friend with you, like,
rather than when you have a friend with you, and also that like it's like just to be able to do your own thing, man. The game
yeah.
changer. Go where you want, when you want, do what you want.
And I feel like when you bring people from home with you, when you travel from Ireland and you bring people, there's no reinventing yourself. As in, you're always kind of cognizant that this person knows me and has expectations of how I act in certain situations, and we always kind of act according to that a little bit. Whereas when you're by yourself, you can completely reinvent yourself and be who you truly are, your authentic self on your own, almost. You
That's
know?
very true. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That resonates a lot. What you're saying. Yeah, it's
yeah,
very true. Yeah,
yeah. I think traveling by yourself for them reasons is important.
it's a game changer.
What was your first moment of introduction to yoga?
I suppose I had done classes here like prior to Mexico. Just to clarify, I went to Mexico in May 2021 after I quit my job. When I was down in South America, that was 2016. So that was a bit of a process in between. Uh, yeah, that freedom I kind of discovered, we'll say, when I was down in South America. When I came back to Galway, back into my job and back into the same life, yeah, I just like, it wasn't for me, you know.
It felt different then.
Felt different, yeah. I felt a bit trapped after a while. No, I was happy enough when I came back initially, but after 6 months, a year and a half, and I kind of, over the course of time, I suppose, I like, at first I began to like really dislike my job, and that turned into like really like just dreading it and hating it. And
No, I've worked in that same factory a couple of times, and it's actually one of the best factories to work in for lads like ourselves. Anyways, do you know, there's a bunch of heads in there we know. There's always a bit of crack
yeah,
going on, and I think it's kind of a good work life balance in there. Do you know what I mean? As much as you can have in a factory settings, I think it's pretty
absolutely.
good.
Yeah,
So I guess that's probably the way you were thinking for the first 15 years in there.
first 10 years, yeah,
First
exactly.
10
It's a
years.
good job to me.
Yeah.
It served me well, and I'm
Yeah.
very grateful for it. You know,
Yeah.
like I said, I lived a good life when I worked there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when I came back, that 10 months of unbelievable freedom was just like,
Yeah.
it just opens you up in a way. I don't know. I don't even know how to put it into words, you know. But
Yeah.
it just changed me. It changed
Yeah.
me. Everything I thought was my life and was going to be my life when I came back was like, this is not it.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. I get you.
What am I going to do now?
Mm.
You know? And there was a lot of contemplation and looking at college courses and this, that, and the other. And like, you know, like at first I'd go into work and I'd be thinking, Jesus, I remember first thinking like, geez, I think I want to get out of this place, you know? And
Mm.
I'd go into work the next day and I'd be like, no, this is a great job. You're mad.
Yeah.
Don't be thinking that, you know? And I was
Yeah.
kind of back and forth with it for a long time, you know? And yeah, then I was reading books and things like that. And the only good thing is like I was able to listen to music and stuff like that in work. So I was using that time to listen to audiobooks a lot. So I was kind of kept me going the last few years. I was thinking, I had the perception like I'm getting paid to educate myself.
Yeah,
You know, a good
yeah,
pair of noise cancellation
yeah,
headphones, and I can use them in work. So I just listened to audiobook after audiobook and after audiobook, and eventually, listen, I came to the stage. The pandemic hit. We were a year into that, and I was unhappy. I wasn't happy in my life,
yeah.
and I was hating my job, and I needed change in my life. I needed change in my life, and I didn't know what that change
Was going to be.
was going to be or even needed to be.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like there's a lot of people out there like that.
Absolutely.
Do you
And I
know, a
feel
lot of
really
people out there.
blessed to have been able to do what I done. I didn't
Yeah,
have kids to mortgage and anything like that. And there's loads of lads in numerous factories around the world
yeah,
like that. But yeah, it's a great job if you need it for them things. You have the security, the healthcare, the bonuses financially. It's great. You have
yeah.
security if you need it.
Security.
But it
Yeah.
just wasn't for me. It wasn't
Okay.
for me.
And where did you find out about Hatha yoga then, or yoga
This
in general?
this particular school I found in Mexico.
Yeah,
So I decided to pull the trigger on it. I was leaving my job and I was going to Mexico. Mexico was like one of the only countries in the world that was still open to travel
yeah.
a year into the pandemic. And I had a really good Mexican friend that lived in Galway here for 2 years. She went home because of the pandemic.
Okay.
So when she was in Mexico, I stayed in touch with her, and I used to be chatting to her every few weeks, and she was telling me, yeah, there are restrictions here in Mexico, but it's open for travel. And I was checking it out on the internet and stuff as well, and yeah, eventually I said no regrets. Like
So
I've done,
you didn't know about the school when you
I
left.
didn't know about, I knew about the school when I left, but I found out about the school only like 2 3 months before I went.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
so I was planning the trip a few months before I left from Mexico. I was thinking to myself, if I'm going to be gone for another year or 10 months or whatever, uh, I'd like to do a bit of volunteer work in hostels and things like that to fund the trip. I seen many people that were doing that down in South America in 2016, working in hostels, working in a bar, doing a bit of cleaning and whatnot. Get a
Yeah.
free bed and a meal, you know. But yeah, I suppose I was 42, 43 years old as well, and I wasn't interested in partying or any of that stuff anymore. Them days were long gone.
Yeah.
So,
That.
anyways, a light bulb went off in my head one evening, sitting at home in my apartment, and I just thought to myself, "Could check out like meditation and yoga retreats and places like that. And is there anywhere like that that needs volunteers?" So I googled it: schools, yoga schools, retreats, and things like that in Mexico. And this school popped up called Redaya in a place called Mazunte in Mexico. It's down on the Pacific coast, south of Mexico, in a state called Oaxaca. And I just really liked the look of the school. I just found myself I kept going on the website, reading about the yoga retreats, reading about the silent meditation retreats. And it was in a place called Mazunte, like I said. I really liked the look of the place, real
Yeah.
kind of yogi, hippies kind of vibes. It was on the beach, tropical paradise. Why
Yeah.
not?
Why not?
So I decided, yeah, that's what I was going to do.
Okay. So you knew when you were leaving
Yeah.
that's what you were
Yeah.
going
The
to do.
plan was I wasn't into yoga in any serious way. I had done some classes in Galway, but
But
I,
like myself, and I suppose like most people, um, I have two experiences with yoga, and both of them were when I went with my daughter to a hot yoga class.
mm,
And we spent most of the time laughing at my inability to get into the positions that everybody, that all these really young fucking lithe people were able to manipulate themselves, and I was just falling over and tying myself in knots. But it was good fun. I enjoyed it, but I never got into it or experienced it in the kind of deep and philosophical way that you've after
mm,
getting into it. You know what I mean? It was just
yeah,
about trying to get a bit flexible for me.
yeah.
So I guess that's what most people think yoga is really, is just
Yeah, I used to go like when I'd get injured from lifting weights or something like
yeah,
that. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
But yeah, I went to this school, and yeah, the plan was go there, do a meditation retreat. I was interested in meditation. I'd been down to Cork to a Buddhist center in Cork with a friend of mine back in like way back in 2013 or 14, and done like a very short weekend introduction to meditation thing. So I was interested in meditation and very into spirituality and stuff, and but never actually practicing meditation. So I had the
okay,
interest in that and working with my mind and stuff like that, you
yeah,
know. And like I said, didn't really know what yoga truly was, wasn't too interested in it, although it was a yoga school. So I went there, done my first ever 10-day silent meditation retreat.
Quiet for 10 days.
Not a word.
Hang on now. You're from Ballyban. Like I say, you hang around the same spots as myself. How the fuck do you be quiet for 10 days?
Man, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
Is there something I wondered about that since we last met and talked? When you're quiet for 10 days, right?
Mm.
Is there fucking a giggle or a laugh happen? Is there any crack in silence, basically? Like, does somebody fall over and everybody goes, or no? Is it just completely silent?
There's a bit of crack. Listen, there's the school I went to, there's lectures in the evening, you know. There is a
Okay.
questions and answers. Students don't speak, but if you have questions, because people need support.
Yeah.
You know, you're meditating for 2 hours every morning, 2.5 hours in the afternoon. You have a 1.5 hour Hatha yoga practice. And yoga moves stuff as well, you know, energy, emotions, things like that. People go through processes, you know, including myself. I've done a good few 10-day silent meditation retreats now, and it can be a process. It can be quite intense. Also can be really, really nice as well. It's
What do you mean by process there now? How do you mean
stuff comes up, you know,
yeah.
things, emotional stuff comes up, traumas and things like that.
But yet you're not talking.
You're not talking. You're sitting in silence with whatever's going on inside you.
Yeah.
That's a very powerful thing. Because
Yeah.
we're not feeling our emotions. You have to feel your emotions. It's
Yeah.
very, very important to feel your emotions and to try, at least on some level, and be in tune with what's going on inside you. This is why we're running around constantly distracting ourselves. And this is why I suppose people drink and take drugs and whatnot. And, you know, the world is rife with depression now and anxiety and
Loneliness.
loneliness as well. Though. Yeah,
Loneliness, I think,
exactly.
is a very
Underrated.
underrated and common. I think we have an epidemic of loneliness, to be
Absolutely.
honest.
I
And
couldn't agree with you more.
a lot of it I put down to we have such a connected world now, and air quotes in because of the internet and stuff. But it's not actual genuine connection,
Absolutely.
and it's not genuine emotion we're feeling. It's these triggers and these stimulus responses that have been worked on and are affecting us all the time. You know,
Yeah, we're up to
um,
90, like.
up to 90.
Up to 90. Our minds
And
are flying.
as I said, we used to be able to sit on the toilet and once you'd read the back of the shampoo bottle, read Armitage Shanks a couple of times, next thing you're sitting there thinking to yourself, and it was some sort of introspection or a little bit of
Mm,
meditation. It was a little bit of quiet time with just you.
yeah.
But now, nobody even reads the shampoo bottle anymore because the phone is the first thing that comes out of the pocket
Phones, yeah.
at all times,
Yeah.
you know?
Like you said, we're very disconnected.
I think we're
Loneliness as
very
well. Yeah,
disconnected.
loneliness, like, it's yeah, we're disconnected from who and what we are. We've forgotten
Yeah,
who and what we are, you know. We're very social creatures.
we
Human beings,
are.
we need human connection. And not
Absolutely.
through phones and not through
Yeah.
technology or any of this, you
Yeah.
know.
Full bodied human connection.
That's it, you
Yeah.
know, emotional connection, you know, healthy relationships, things like that.
Yeah.
You know, so if you go in, if you go into 10 days of Mauna, as we call it, Mauna means noble silence. It's a Sanskrit word.
Okay.
Yeah, you really have to tune in. You really have to confront yourself. You really have to confront yourself. You're sitting with your mind. You know, you're not talking. A lot of support at the school now. You know, you have a senior teacher giving the lectures, guiding the classes, guiding the meditations. You'll have two monitors, which
Yeah.
are two we'll say less senior teachers or apprentice teachers. I've done this myself, and there's segregation. So you'll have female on one side, male on the other side, for no distractions and things like that. Perfectly understandable. Yeah, so you'll have a female monitor watching over the females, and you'll have a male monitor watching over the males, and they're just keeping an eye on people. Some people, I've seen people go through like very, very intense processes. Like people come there to try and get over addictions. People come there. I've seen people come to this school that are processing grief, the loss of a loved one, all sorts of traumas, abuses, things like that. You know, it's
Yeah.
it's it's a very powerful thing. It's a place of really deep healing. You know.
That word you used, confronting. You used that a few times as well when we had tea together, and I've thought about it since. And I wouldn't. Uh, it's not something I've necessarily have associated with like yoga or something. Do you know what I mean? That there's
Hmm.
a not a violence to it, but there's a I don't know. There's a conflict to it or something. Do you know that there's a confronting, and but really what you're confronting is
Yourself.
yourself.
Yourself. What's going on in your mind? What's going on in your head? Are you at peace?
Yeah.
You might think you're at peace.
But
Sit with yourself in silence for 10 days. Close your
mm,
eyes for a couple of hours every morning and 2.5 hours in the afternoon, and don't speak to anybody for 10 days and see what's going on.
then you'll know.
See what's going on, then you'll know.
So what you're
No,
confronting is yourself.
yes, exactly. And listen, I always say it like these silent retreats, they're a real roller coaster. But such is life,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah.
10 days can be like there can be such a shift, such a change in you in 10 days from when you enter into silence for 10 days and when you
Mm,
come out the other end,
mm.
and everything in between. It's
Yeah,
fucking amazing, man. I'm serious. Like it can be so up and down in the course of a few days,
yeah.
which just shows how the mind is.
But the
How
mind
now
is a funny thing.
it's crazy. You
It's
see,
a
when you
funny
sit in
thing.
meditation and you observe it, observe what's going on. This is the idea of meditation. People think meditation should be like blissful and peaceful and everything.
Yeah,
And man, I'm telling you, meditation is work,
yeah.
but it bears fruit. It's
I just want to read you something. Look, philosophy and psychology is kind of my game, but well, it's where my interest lie and where my education has
yeah,
been and stuff. But there's so much that now I've been doing a bit of research on yoga and stuff as well and meditation, and there's so much crossover. There's so many philosophers who talk about solitude as being super important. And how are
absolutely.
you going to know yourself? How are you going to find yourself if you don't have solitude? There's one guy, Pascal. He said all of the world's troubles come from man's inability to be able to sit in a room with himself.
Hmm.
Do you know?
See, there you go. You know, yeah, exactly. Man's inability to sit in a room by himself.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
just want to read you something from one of my favorite dudes, who is Friedrich Nietzsche. And for him, solitude is a key aspect of like self affirmation and finding the self. The individual has always led to struggle. The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try it, you will be lonely often and sometimes frightened. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. Loneliness is one thing, it's a state of lack. Solitude another, it's a state of fullness.
yeah. That's powerful stuff.
But that's kind of that's philosophy. So that's a guy coming to the same conclusions as these yoga teachers, as this yoga, as this meditation. It seems to be popping up everywhere. And when I looked into yoga, it's like one lady was saying it was 10,000 years old.
Yeah, they're thereabouts,
Now
from what
this
I know. Yeah.
what this lady, her explanation was that when people first came across agriculture and they started becoming static, that a lot of them didn't like that way of living and they wanted to be more with nature rather than using nature. And so they went back into the woods and the forests and practiced yoga and practiced connecting with nature. And that was kind of the birth of it. I don't know. And nobody was writing down things 10,000 years ago. So we're maybe not sure, but it's a
Hmm.
nice story and it follows the line of thinking of yoga. Well, from what I feel
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? There's a real,
Yeah. My understanding is I think it goes back about at least, anyways, 5,000 years to like the
yeah,
Vedas.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then after that came the Upanishads, and then
okay,
there's like the Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Sutras by
yeah,
a guy called Patanjali, and there's many different styles of yoga as well, even different philosophies. But I
yeah,
suppose it all boils down to one thing, you know, like the actual word yoga means union with God, or the union with the divine source of your being,
yeah.
you know,
And
whatever
it's
that may be.
basically
Some people,
everything else.
everything. Yeah, some people call it the universe. Some people call it
Yeah,
God, the divine.
yeah.
You know.
And words are like they said in the Tao Te Ching, the first lines of the Tao Te Ching, and the Tao that can be spoken is not the Tao. So no matter what we call it, that's just a word to represent it.
It's ineffable, which means it can't be explained.
Yeah.
Words cannot explain it.
Is this where the silent retreat then takes the words away? So it just leaves you with just yourself and that universe, Tao, God, whatever you want to
Yeah,
think about it,
with
with
yourself.
yourself.
Yeah, but I suppose like the whole idea of yoga, and especially Hatha yoga as well, like purification is a big part of Hatha yoga. Firstly, purification of like your physical body, then your mental body, and then your emotional body. Because like from a yogic perspective, like your true being, like who and what you really are, is like obscured by the mind, or you could call it also the ego. So like through the practice of meditation and through the practice of yoga, it's just to kind of break through them layers of conditioning. Again, from a yogic perspective, that goes back lifetimes. They believe in reincarnation. So from a yogic perspective, it's like, I suppose, burning karma, changing your karma.
Burning karma.
Burning karma, yeah, you can kind of say in
Okay.
yoga, burning, like changing your karma,
So, okay,
purifying tendencies and things like that, like old habits, you could call
and
them
and the,
also.
and these could be habits that are there that have been built up over past lives of conditioning.
Could be, yeah, even past lives, yeah, from a
Okay.
yogic perspective, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I suppose with meditation, that's how you can kind of change them tendencies, or again, in yoga, you would say purify them tendencies. The
Purified.
more we purify ourselves and our heart, the closer we come to whom what we really are. And
Mm,
definitely, like, speaking from my own experience, like the last 3.5 years of my life, I'm not the same person I
no.
was than before I went to Mexico.
What's the
Eh,
biggest difference that you notice? What can you point to some differences that you notice in just your everyday life?
So much more tranquil, so much more relaxed. I just learned so much. I just feel truly blessed
Really?
to have found the path
Yeah.
that I'm on, and it's only the beginning.
I al-
And I love it. And one thing I love about being on this yogic path or spiritual path or whatever you want to call it is, like, you know, you're humbled time and time again. Especially
yeah.
in the beginning.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You're doing some retreats and the
Yeah.
ego comes in and you think
Yeah.
you're, oh, I got this, and
I'm the best yogi here, man.
exactly. And this is what I love about it. Is like you will be humbled time and time again,
Yeah.
and you will realize that I'm just a little fucking baby here. I'm just a little rookie,
So
and
like
it's like it's
you
a.
done a bit of kickboxing and stuff, didn't you?
I did, yeah, I
It's
did.
like getting humbled down in the gym a little bit
Absolutely, yeah,
occasionally.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
exactly.
I've been humbled myself a few times down in
We'll
gyms.
always be humble, yeah.
Not fun, but it's important. It's
Mm.
very important.
But you know what, Dahi, the more you get humble, it makes you
But the realer you
more
become.
humble.
Yeah.
Do
But
you
I feel
know?
like it opens you up to a broader experience because there's a certainty.
Absolutely.
What humbling does, I feel like, both on the kind of spiritual level, intellectual level, physical level in gyms, is that it breaks that certainty that people have.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It
Yeah.
smashes that to say,
Yeah.
hang on now, you don't know everything about the world. You don't even know everything about yourself. So
Yeah.
get that smashed out of you in one way or another, and then we'll try and begin the work of putting it back together again.
Absolutely. Always have an open mind. It's a
Always have
huge
an
part. We're
open
taught
mind.
that over and over again at the school as well,
Yeah,
especially last year when I done my teacher training in France.
yeah.
It's like come with that beginner's mind, they call it. Always be open. Always,
Beginner's mind.
always be willing to learn more. The only thing you know is that is you don't know. We
Yeah,
don't know it all.
yeah.
And we'll never know it all until
We'll
we
never know.
become fucking enlightened or whatever.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
You
But
know.
is that enlightened place? Um, you see, this is where Nietzsche got to as well, and it's something I really admire about him. Uh, is that we have to kind of live in a place of ambiguity. We have to live in a place of unknowing. We have to become comfortable in a
Mm,
place of unknowing, of not knowing things, of not knowing, and in that way we become free spirits, and in that way we have more access to the world. Do you know what I mean? We have more connection to the world. It's the constant making things certain
and
that,
wanting and needing.
and wanting and
It's
needing.
control. You want to
Mm,
control things. We want to have the ego wants to have control over
yeah,
everything, doesn't it?
yeah,
If we can just
yeah,
surrender
yeah. If we
and
can just
relax
surrender.
and be.
Yeah,
But
it's
it's
easier said than done, man.
I was just about to say, how do you shut up this fucking mind? Because it's
I've,
crazy. The human mind, it's incessant. It like does not stop.
yeah,
It's 24/7. It shuts off for a few hours every night when we're in deep dreamless sleep.
yeah,
But even at that, it's still the subconscious mind. Carl Jung
mm,
talks about this.
yeah. I was
Your
thinking you
dreams
bring
are
that then.
your dreams are a gateway to your subconscious mind.
The
I mean,
shadow,
this
huh?
the thing never stops.
Yeah,
But the beauty of meditation and the practice of consistent daily meditation, and for me, consistent retreats, is like there's a place of stillness behind all the thoughts and all the emotions. There's a place of like a witness. There's something there. There's something there that's constant, that never changes. And sometimes you can, I've had everyone, you can have like some pretty profound meditation practices where you really get into that space, you know?
and
Every day at the school, the yoga school, I've learned everything I've learned at. We call it the background of stillness or the witness consciousness or pure awareness.
pure
Pure
awareness.
awareness, yeah. And it's like everything is going on. Thoughts are flying by, coming and going. Emotions are coming and going. And there's just something that's constant and that's always there. And there is a peace and a stillness to be found sometimes, even when the mind is going crazy, and even when you're feeling like turbulent emotions and things like that.
It's like
So sometimes you get into that space in meditation where it's just like stillness, and how can I describe it? You can be unaffected by what's going on with your emotions and what's going on with your mind. And it's just a different level of awareness. It's a different level of consciousness.
so. Let me try and think this through now. So, the witness, that place of stillness, is that like a place where you can be and you can watch all these emotions and things coming through you, leaving again?
Yeah, I
So,
suppose this is the practice of meditation. Yeah.
is that where the resilience comes from
You
meditation?
definitely need resilience. Yeah,
Yeah, but is
for
that where
sure.
is that when you find when you're in that place, when you, I suppose when you can get access to that place of stillness quicker through practice,
Yes,
does that build that resilience so that when emotions start to come up again, you can quicker get to that place and you can watch them, hold them, and let them float away?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. 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 Yeah, but it's a practice.
yeah.
Like meditation is difficult.
I've
Even still, sometimes it's extremely difficult. You don't know what way your mind is going to be, how active, how calm it's going to be, how peaceful, how
mm,
turbulent it's going to be. Any given morning you wake up.
I've been trying to meditate for 10 minutes a day since we last spoke. And you showed me that
Inside timer.
insight timer. Now I used that, but then they asked me for money, so I cut it off, and I just used my other timer. But
Oh, I use it.
maybe that's a free one. I didn't click
Of
enter or
course, yeah,
something.
yeah,
But
yeah. No, you can use that for free, no problem.
okay, but I
It's a
would
great app.
insight timer. Okay, if anybody knows, get insight timer. But I was using just an ordinary interval timer, um, and I found it very hard. Uh, I didn't. It didn't work every day. I didn't last the 10 minutes every day, and I felt that bit of confrontation coming up. And then I quickly realized that I had other things to do and I had to get on it.
There
So
you
I got
go.
up and found whatever it was I
There you
desperately
go.
had to do to run away from that confrontation. That
Absolutely. There you go. I
mm,
come back to confronting yourself.
yeah,
Within 10 minutes, your mind is tricking you into getting up
mm,
out of that chair or whatever and going on about your daily business and
yeah,
just forgetting
distractions.
distractions.
Mm,
Distractions, exactly. Meditation is hard, especially in the beginning. A
it
really
is, yeah,
difficult thing. You know, that's
it
not all,
is.
difficulty. Like sometimes you have like very, very nice, beautiful
Yeah, we
meditation
should probably tell
sessions.
people about the good stuff.
Ah.
We should probably tell people about the good stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know,
Yeah,
but like you asked me how it changed me a few minutes ago. Like, and
yeah,
it's just so much more relaxed, sleeping better. Just
yeah.
life is easier, man.
Life is easier.
Life is easier. So
Yeah.
much more acceptance of things.
Mm,
You know, and clarity, man. Clarity is massive for me. You know,
yeah.
like I said, I was really, really like lost for a few years before I found yoga and got on this path in life. You know.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's like, what am I going to do with my life? And that creates a lot of conflict within, and conflict within reflects, you'll have conflict in your life as well. Like, anyone's just not happy, people that are not happy. And, there's a lot of conflict in the world.
There is.
People are not happy.
And a lot of it
Yeah,
comes from people's inability to sit in a room, isn't it?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
No, it's
But that's what it brings, Like for me going into retreats, it's work. But again, it's a beautiful experience. When you come out with there, like there's a final share in it, it's optional. A lot of people go up there, share their processes. I mean, you're sitting in a hall with 70, 60, 70, sometimes even 80, 90 people in the hall at the school in Mexico. And man, like the connection, a sense of connection, like with people afterwards, people you haven't spoke to for fucking 10 days, not a word. Only the teacher speaking,
and
like
probably some people you've never spoken to.
never spoken to. You literally turn around, you look at them, everybody starts connecting again, starts talking, and it's like you've known them for years sometimes. You've
You've
been
been
see
through something together.
exactly.
And
You've been
is there
sitting in a hall with these people, not talking to them for 10 days, and the whole place comes out of it just full of love and connection.
in those 10 days where you're quiet? Is there like a is there eye contact connection? Do you know what I mean? Is
No,
no,
no, no,
no.
no. It's recommended not have eye contact. And speaking from my own experience, it makes a huge difference. Even eye contact, it's an interaction.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Words are secondary. We're communicating through energy, first and
Okay.
foremost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I know that I notice it myself, like, you know.
Yeah, no, there's our olfactory system is a lot more powerful than we believe it is, and we actually pick up on people's smells when we shake people's hands and stuff like that. We often notice people put their hand to their mouth because we're actually getting a sense of their smell, and there's a
Yeah.
lot more communication, like you were saying,
Words
in
are secondary,
hormonal and
man.
stuff that we're doing, and words are like a
They're a manifestation of people's thoughts.
yeah, yeah, but
Thoughts,
but
words,
they're
actions.
also a building. They're also the building blocks of our social reality, of the social reality where all that anxiety comes from.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? They're a building of a social world that's kind of uh, not untrue, but it is constructed in words, and a
Hmm.
lot of human anxieties comes from that social world. Do you know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Absolutely.
So
The world's a crazy place in
the world,
2024.
it
It's
is,
a
yeah,
mad time to be alive.
it is
I'm
a mad
telling you,
time to be
man.
alive. I
But
remember.
I'm a truly optimistic about the world the way it is at the moment. I feel it's going through a rebirth process. You know, a very necessary change.
Tell me about this rebirth process. You've heard about it somewhere.
Me?
The Kali Yuga, is it?
Oh, the yugas,
What's that?
they're like epochs, I suppose, are ages in time. You
Yeah.
know, I think each yuga, there's 4 yugas. Apparently, we're in Kali Yuga at the moment. I don't know too much about them yet. I was
Okay.
checking out books on them recently, you know, but
Right.
there's no question about it. We're in a dark age. I mean, look
Yeah.
around you.
Yeah.
War in Ukraine. What's going on in Gaza, Israel? It's fucking horrific, man.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
I'm lucky. Like, I lived in a fucking ashram for a year and a half. This between the school in Mexico and France. I came home this year on the 20th of June, and just recently I've been able to isolate myself and more or less be in a bubble at that school for the
Yeah.
last, especially year and a half. You know, it's my whole life has revolved around it for the last 3 years between coming and going. But like, yeah, I was checking out some of the stuff recently that's been going on in Gaza and Israel, and it's
Yeah.
fucking hell, man, for
Yeah.
both sides.
For both
For
sides. For
both
everyone.
sides, you know what I mean? And I'm saying what I'm seeing there, man, is again is like it's there's such division now again in the world. There's
Mm.
people that are pro-Israel, people that are pro-Palestine. I don't want to get too deep into politics now, but like, yeah, the world. There's no question about it. We're living in a very, very dark age.
Yeah.
Thinking about this recently as well, and like how privileged I am, and we are to like have the karma to be born into a Western world, into a Western family in a Western country.
Absolutely.
Freedom we've had,
Yeah.
we've freed
And
like that,
and it
and
is luck. You know what I mean?
it's
That we're
luck,
born
yeah,
into. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
We don't choose where
From
we're
my
born.
belief,
Like.
yeah, from my belief, karma.
Oh
That
yeah. Yeah.
would
Yeah. Yeah.
from a
Okay.
yogic
Yeah. 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 Sorry.
from a
Yeah.
yogic
Yeah. Yeah.
perspective. No, I would think that's got to do with past life choices. But anyway, we
Okay.
don't need to go into that. My point is, us in the Western world, man, we've been very privileged up until now. But the last 4 or 5 years, man, like our freedom and our liberties are like getting smaller and smaller and smaller, you know. But anyway, not to go too deep into politics, no question about it. We're living in a very dark age. We're
Yeah.
living, you know, and
Yeah.
in yogi, you'd call that Kali Yuga.
Kali Yuga,
Kali
and
Yuga.
and the next age that's coming in
I
them.
think it's Treta Yuga, or is it Satya?
That's a
Satya
better time.
means, oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
no question about it. Like, yeah, Kali Yuga is definitely the most difficult, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I do.
It's a crazy time.
It is a crazy
But
time.
like the good thing is like it's creating a lot of suffering, but like the flip side of that is it's causing a lot of people. I think it's causing a massive like spiritual revolution, spiritual awakening. Not
Mm.
everybody, but a lot of people are like, as we say in yoga as well, the only way out is in, you know.
Yeah.
The only out is in.
Yeah.
A lot of people are kind of getting into like look at yoga, meditation,
Is
everything.
it
I know.
growing
Oh yeah, I think
big
in
time
a massive way. I
in
think so.
Ireland?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Good.
I think so.
Good.
I think so. From my point of view, anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but I think that there is a lot of people searching for something. Like I always saw you as a searcher. Like you were always like learning an instrument or
Yeah,
trying a
yeah,
sport or
yeah.
going off learning the language or going off traveling and something.
Yeah,
And
I need stimulation. Like
you need
I
stimulation,
have to
but you
be
were
at
searching.
something.
You were searching for
Absolutely.
something. And it's nice to see now
Absolutely.
that you seem to have found something. Do you know what I mean? Found something that
I believe whatever choices I've made throughout my whole life, my life was never going to be anything other than what it is right now. It was always going to be yoga,
and is there some
meditation.
acceptance then? Is that part of the process of acceptance? Is that accepting that whatever's happened, it's happened to bring you here to where
I
you are?
suppose, yeah, it would have been part of my process in the past. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. But I don't doubt it now for 1 second, you know. But it
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
big move a few years ago, quitting my job and everything, and it was a difficult decision at the time. It
yeah.
was not an easy thing to do.
No, it's a huge decision.
When I think back where I was as a person
Yeah.
3.5 years ago, you know, but it was the best decision of my life, no doubt, and it's just the beginning.
Is there any misconceptions about yoga that drive you mad? Do you know what I mean? Is there
Nothing would
anything?
drive me mad. I always say
Is it
that.
that's because you're so chill now? Like it's impossible to drive you mad.
I often say like there's no bad yoga except hot yoga. No, I'm only joking. But no, listen, anything to get you to fucking switch off, stretch and breathe.
Stretch and breathe.
It's
Yeah.
gonna relax you. It's gonna de-stress you on
Mm,
some level, regardless of what you're into, whether it's hatha, vinyasa, ashtanga, which are faster dynamic styles of yoga. You know,
mm,
there's yin yoga, which is very slow, very relaxing. The style of yoga I learned, like I said, hatha yoga, hridaya hatha yoga, very slow, very meditative. And listen, I think it's all good. We're
yeah.
all different. You know, we're all
Yeah. Yeah.
different. We're all built differently. We all have different strengths, weaknesses, likes, dislikes.
Yeah.
I mean, find what works for you, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
do it.
There seems to be a lot in the yoga about balance. It seems to be all about balance, about finding the kind of dualities and then balancing them back to a non-duality kind of.
Yeah.
Would that be fair enough?
That's accurate enough. I think, yeah. It's all about non-duality. You're not separate from your source. Union,
Yeah.
union, union,
How what within a
union with
in
the divine. Like,
union with the divine and whatever. For me, now, as it's different for everybody, I guess. But for me, the divine and the God and the universe is it's just basically everything that you're not. You know what I mean? Like
hmm,
union for me with the world is union with everything I'm not. You know, just being okay with everything. Do you
hmm,
know? But how do we find balance in a world that's so pulled apart, that's so polarized, that's got so many distractions and anxieties and stimulations? Uh, like we spoke about Gaza, Palestine, Israel there a minute ago, but I had this other. I was doing research for a film company, a documentary film company that were going over there filming a documentary, and the documentary was about a circus in Palestine, which was a circus school, which was so kind of surreal when you think about what they're going through.
hmm.
That they had a place to go to that was just to have fun, just
Have
to
fun, yeah,
juggle, just to balance. And there's so much physical embodiment in circus stuff as well. You know, you're balancing,
yeah,
you're doing this, you're concentrating on what you're doing, like, you know, so
yeah.
you may be distracted for a bit. But what the picture that kept coming to my mind doing this was a clown on a unicycle, right, juggling, and he's unicycling down the street, and there's Palestinians on one side, Israelis on the other side, and they're firing their shit at each other and their insults.
Wow.
And the Palestinians believes I'm doing this because this is my land, this is my religion, this is how we do it. And the Jews are like, the Israelis, no, this is my religion, this is my land, and this is what I believe. And there's just such strong beliefs there.
Yeah, hatred.
Hatred.
It's
But this
next
is the
level. Like,
social reality I'm talking about. To just and then you have
hmm.
this clown cycling down the middle of it all. To me, he is the only sane person in that picture. Do you
I
know what
was
I mean?
just thinking the same thing.
Because these two guys are believing these stories so much they're willing to kill each other. And this
Yeah,
lad is like, let's have a bit of crack.
this lad
What's
wants to fucking
what?
cycle a unicycle and juggle.
Yeah,
He's got something right
let's have some fun.
in a
Let's
war
have some
zone.
fun. But
He's got something right.
it does like I guess does spiritual practices bring you back to the place of that sane clown, as I like to call him? Do you know what I mean? Can it bring you
Hmm.
back to that? Bring you away from all them social constructions? Do you know? Bring you back to a
I,
place where you can look at them people then and go, "What the fuck are you believing so hard that
Hmm.
this is what it's causing you to do. Like,
It's crazy because it runs so deep, that kind of stuff. But
run
even
so
at the
deep.
start, the answer popped into my question as soon as you started talking there. What can you do
Yeah.
in a world that's so crazy with so many distractions? If you're fortunate enough and if you can, two words popped into my mind: silence and solitude.
Silence
Silence and
and
solitude. Take
solitude.
time alone. Take time alone if you can. I understand not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
You know, people have families and kids as well. The world is
Yeah.
crazy, you know.
It is. Yeah. It
But
is. Yeah.
you know, it's my path in life for sure to keep doing these things
Yeah.
and keep repeatedly doing retreats and practicing yoga for myself first and foremost. And I'm open to teaching that if that's what life presents to me.
Yeah.
You know,
But mostly it's about you're doing it,
my own growth.
and if, like, I suppose if you can model that behavior, the best teacher is someone who's modeling behavior
There
for
you go.
others. Do you know what I mean?
Lead by lead by example. You
Rather
don't
than
need to
preaching.
preach.
No,
a
exactly.
hundred percent.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't need to preach.
Yeah. We
You
do
don't
that on
need.
podcasts. It's oh, hang on.
You know,
Yeah.
but it's
No,
true. As the old saying goes, like actions speak louder than words. You know,
they do.
it's
Yeah.
lead by example.
Mm. Yeah. It's the Are you the kind of uh your body's a temple kind of person now? I know you were always
Definitely.
you were always kind of into health, and I know
Yeah,
your older brother and younger brothers are into their health too. So you grew up in a kind of a health orientated kind of uh, place in that sense.
absolutely. Environment. Yeah,
Exercise and stuff like that.
definitely. Yeah, even coming right down from our father. You know.
Really, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
He
yeah.
was training in boxing when he was younger, and he was going to the gym for years and stuff.
Oh
And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so for sure.
That's where it comes from. So
Yeah, but I
so
always had a strong inclination to definitely like from my early 20s. Eat really healthy and really look after myself.
yeah.
But I had one Friday, Friday to Sunday, you know. I was burning the candle, burning the wick at both ends for a good 2 years when I was younger in my 20s
Yeah.
and that, and maybe a couple of years of my early 30s. But
And does yoga suit that? Like, does yoga promote that kind of
healthy
body's attempt?
lifestyle, oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. It sure starts at the physical level, you know.
yeah,
If you don't have a pure and a clean and healthy physical body, like that reflects into like was your mental and your emotional state as well, you know.
yeah.
As they always say, healthy body, healthy mind. I'm sure
Yeah,
you've often heard that.
yeah, yeah. And
First and
it's
foremost, you know,
definitely
like, you know, and your health is your wealth. You
absolutely.
know, I'm very fortunate to be fit and able, and
Yeah,
you know,
and how long may
because
that
when we're, you know,
continues?
when you get sick and you're in pain or something like that, it's like, you know, it has a big effect on you mentally. You know,
Yeah, it
you
does.
know,
Yeah,
it's tough when you're sick and you're feeling like shit or you're in pain with something, and you know,
yeah.
it has a big effect on you mentally. So yeah, I'm a big believer in keeping my physical body like as healthy as I can.
And so you done a saltwater intestinal flush recently.
I did. I done that last Saturday. That's oh yeah, that's
That sounded like great fun, but
it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Feeling the benefits though, reaping the benefits. Yeah,
yeah.
it's a pretty deep cleanse. It's a deep flush. It's called Shankar Prakshalana.
Oh, so that
It's
is a
yeah,
yoga practice
it's a
too.
yoga practice. Yeah, it's a Hatha yoga practice. This
Okay,
again is Hatha yoga. To go
okay,
back to your question at the very beginning, yeah, it's a very Hatha yoga is all about purifying your physical body, and from there purifying your mental, your mind, your mental body,
okay,
and then purifying like your energy at the most subtle level. Like
okay.
a lot of
So it
diseases,
begins with the body.
a lot of diseases and things like that come from like if you're talking about even like not yoga but like holistic and alternative medicines and things like that, they all look to like the root of things.
Yeah.
Do you know? And from a yogic perspective, whatever manifests at the physical level, disease or dis-ease, you know, disharmony, dis-ease in in your body is like it's just the last layer.
Dis ease.
Dis-ease, yeah. You know, when
Your
you break
body's
down
not
that
at
word,
ease. Yeah.
disease, dis-ease,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I haven't broken down that word like that actually before, but yeah,
Yeah.
it makes sense. And hatha is really about the physical stuff first. It puts primacy on
First,
the physical stuff. And
exactly.
the others don't, or some of them go for the spiritual side first and then build up to the physical side.
They do as well. They do as well. The beautiful thing about yoga is they're all deeply intertwined. You know,
Yeah.
they're not separate. You
So
know,
how would you distinguish one from another basically? Like what is the differences in their practices, or what is the differences in their primary focus?
hatha yoga. There's karma yoga, which is the yoga of conscious action.
Okay.
You know, which is trying to be like trying to be conscious all the time, trying to be aware.
Yeah.
When you're not, we'll say, when you're not sitting in meditation and when you're not practicing yoga on your yoga mat, I suppose just trying to be mindful, I suppose, to
Mindful.
try to simplify it for anybody that's listening. It's just trying to be mindful all the time of your actions.
Yeah.
That's karma yoga. Then there's bhakti yoga, which is like the yoga of like devotion. It's like a lot of people are into like kirtan, which is like devotional chanting and music and things like that. And
Oh yeah, yeah.
and also they practice like bear in mind, when you see people doing stretches and postures and all of that, that's called asana. That's a very, very small part of yoga as a whole.
Okay.
Do you
Even
know?
though it's what most people think of when
It's
we hear yoga.
it's a part of yoga, very, very important part
Hmm.
of it. But like yoga begins with two things that are called the yamas and the niyamas. They're basically like virtues and things like that. Number one, yama means control. So there are things to control or restrict within yourself. The very first one is non-violence. It's called ahimsa in Sanskrit.
Yeah.
Mahatma Gandhi spoke at length about this. I mean, he got the British Empire out of India
Mm.
through ahimsa, which was non-violence.
Yeah.
Anyone that knows anything about Gandhi knows that like he was all about non-violence
Yeah.
and that, so that's the very first. So they're like the foundation of, I'm talking about now living yoga as like as a lifestyle,
Yeah.
not just going to a class once or twice a week and practicing postures or asanas as they're called in yoga.
Yeah.
So you have
That
yamas, first one being non-violence or ahimsa. Then you have like asteya, which is non-theft, which is not stealing and things like that. There's also satya, which means truth. And
okay.
that's kind of about like not gossiping about people. And they're just some aspects. They're like very, very surface level kind of aspects of these things. There's layers and they go deeper and deeper and deeper. But basically, like, they're about living a virtuous life,
Yeah.
A parigraha has another one, which means non-grasping or non-attachment. These are yamas,
Non-attachment.
non-attachment, not being attached to things. Not clinging. Like the Buddhists talk about
Like physical things, like material things.
material things, especially at the very surface level.
Surface level. So if you go deeper, would it be not being attached to, say, your own distress, your own pain?
Things like that also, yeah,
Because we
yeah,
get attached to them things too.
yeah, absolutely,
Mm.
emotions and things like that, and yeah, it can go very deep.
Yeah.
It can go very deep.
Yeah. Yeah. Next podcast, we'll go deep on that
Absolutely. But yeah, you have yama, niyama, and then there's asana, which is asana practice. Then there's pranayama, which is breath control and things like that.
Yeah.
That's working with your energy.
And
Nadi's energy channels and kind of controlling and kind of like directing your breath and energy within your body. And then it goes into like pratyahara is another thing, which means like the interiorization of your senses and stuff, which brings you like to a much deeper state of meditation.
interiorization of your senses.
Your senses, yeah,
Hmm.
and stuff like that. It's a big part of meditation, but it's pretty advanced stuff. No, I wouldn't be there yet either.
Yeah, yeah,
You
that
know,
sounds interesting. Interiorization of your senses.
but
But
all these things are aspects of yoga.
we try to get results out of everything nowadays. Everything we do is for what's coming next. It's for consequences. It's, you know what I mean. I want to do this and I want this result.
Mm.
That seems to be how people approach yoga. It's how I approached yoga. It's like I want to get more limber. I'm going to go down here and do this hot yoga stuff, and then I'll be more limber and blah blah blah. It's very kind of, and I realized I was doing this when we last met as well. It's an intellectual kind of way of viewing yoga. It's like, well, what's the point basically, or how can I understand this to get some answer to my question at the end? Like, you
Mm.
know what I mean? But it seems like there's a more important way to be with yoga in the sense of kind of an embodied knowing. Gnosis, gnosis, if you come across that word in yoga, it's you have a way of knowing through words that we know, that we understand,
Mm.
that we can bring together in concepts and do math with and all this kind of stuff. And then you have another way of knowing, which is
Through
gnosis, which is a
direct experience, no?
direct experience. But it's that knowledge that's hard to pass on. So yeah, direct experience. It's that knowledge that's hard to tell people about because like you're
Where does
gonna
this
have
word
to.
come from?
Oh, gnosis comes
Gnosis.
from, the word Gnostics for
Yes.
for for, for religious
Is it
people
from
would be
like the
the
Desert
same.
Fathers, no?
or it could be way there. It mightn't have started in. I don't think it did. It started with noose. Noose is like this.
If I know these words you're talking about, they
Yeah.
originated in Egypt. I think they're from these people called the Desert Fathers. They were like
Okay.
almost hermits, kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. The Hermetic tradition. Yeah, yeah,
400 years after Christ, we'll say.
yeah,
They lived in the deserts in northern Egypt, I think.
yeah,
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 yeah, I've
yeah.
heard these words before. Yeah,
But I think they're
the Nyptic Fathers, I think they're called.
okay.
They have a book called Philokalia. Check it out.
Okay, well, I
Yeah,
will.
yeah, the Desert Fathers are talking about there. Yeah, I've read a bit about these guys. They spoke about them a little bit at the school.
Very good, very good. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I was thinking there is kind of a link with yoga and words and concepts like this, like gnosis, like that. You maybe have to have a direct experience
but that's what
of
yoga is all
yoga
about. Yeah, even the Buddha
directly.
talks about that a lot. The Buddha is always saying, like, don't take my word for it. Go find out for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yana yoga. That's another way of describing it. The yoga of direct knowledge or the yoga of direct experience.
Okay.
You know, again, it's difficult to kind of probably explain and relate yoga to people. Like, I'm just putting myself, listening to myself 3.5 years ago now. And like,
Try talking to yourself 20
just,
years ago.
yeah, exactly. And just like my understanding of yoga before 3.5 years ago, when I didn't even know what the word meant, it's just like, yeah, how do you explain to people what yoga is? It's so much more than just that asana, that just stretching
Yeah.
practice and all that. And I suppose when you're talking about karma yoga, bhakti yoga, yana yoga,
Mm.
and stuff like that, I suppose, yeah, it's pretty deep stuff.
And it has to be experienced. It's very hard to pass this knowledge on. I know it is passed on with
Yeah,
words, but it's only really passed on when somebody goes and practices it. Like we can sit here now and talk, but like we last time we talked, I didn't really understand a lot of what you said until I went off and tried to fucking meditate. And then I was like, oh,
yeah,
this confrontation shit is no joke.
yeah,
Do you
yeah,
know what I mean? So it
absolutely.
has to be experienced. Like,
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Like if you haven't experienced something, you don't really know what it is.
no,
They're
that's
just
true.
concepts. It's an
Yeah,
intellectual understanding,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, and
But it's important to have that intellectual understanding as well, because it's like using the mind as a tool. No, it
yeah,
gives you gives you direction.
yeah.
It's like theory and practice.
Theory and practice.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
practice gives you direction. Or sorry, the theory gives you direction, so you know what you're doing with your mind.
yeah,
Using it as a tool. And then when you practice, kind of just practice meditation and yoga. I don't know, man. Sometimes things happen and you can't really explain them.
yeah.
Especially in retreats and stuff, when you're in silence for 10 days, and when you're doing like a yoga module at the school as well, a 3 week yoga course. I remember that I done module 1 in July 2021, and like, man, for the first time in my life, I was doing 2 hours of hatha yoga every morning and 2 hours of hatha yoga in the afternoon. And man, fuck me, man, things were moving. I was feeling stuff going on in my body. I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
What kind of stuff?
Energy moving and stuff.
Really?
Sensations tingling in my fingers, man, my head buzzing, things like that.
Wow.
What the hell is this
Yeah.
stuff?
You're like, who spiked my tea?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
bit of
sounds
a process
intense.
now as well. Yeah, there was stuff going on, man. There was stuff moving. Believe me.
But it's hard to believe that we have the power to do that ourselves without any like stimulants or without anything. Just
This is what I love about yoga and meditation, man. It's putting all the fucking power in your hands. It's just like,
mm,
you have the power to like deeply, deeply transform yourself.
mm,
It takes a lot of discipline. I won't lie. It takes a lot of discipline, but man, like the rewards are just something else.
mm.
It's really, really transformational stuff.
I imagine it is.
Put yourself into retreats, and
Yeah.
because you can do things in retreats where you'd never. You're in a container, you're in that perfect environment. You go to the school or a school. Vipassana is another very common type of meditation retreat. It's a Buddhist meditation. I've done one of them. But anyway, a lot of people do Vipassana as well. And you'll never have that discipline to be sitting to meditate for 2 hours in the morning and 2.5 hours in the afternoon. You're never going to do that on your own. Unless you go somewhere, put yourself in that environment, put yourself in that container. You're pushing past limitations.
Yeah.
When you go and you put yourself in that environment and in that container, and you go and you commit with numerous other people, to
Yeah.
do that. And you come out the other end of it, man, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
And you've had so many days in between. You're like, fuck, man, I wanted to quit.
Mm.
I wanted to quit, and you just, you stuck with it because you were there.
Do people quit?
I've never seen anybody quit at
Really?
Ridaya. I done one Vipassana meditation retreat here in Ireland a couple of years ago. I see one guy left. One guy did leave, all right. But I'm trying to think, and it's irrelevant how many you've done, but I've done a good few of them now. And I can't remember anybody ever quitting.
Wow.
This is the beauty of putting yourself in the container to do it and putting yourself, it's a commitment to yourself.
It is, yeah.
You commit.
But it's a big commitment.
It's a massive commitment.
And it's a commitment to doing difficult stuff as well. Like,
very difficult stuff, yeah.
It really is. Like, even the physical part of it. You know what I mean? You push yourself past with the physical poses and all this kind of stuff. And like, am I thinking of it right? Do you sit? To me, the way people sit in yoga looks really difficult and often
Can
painful.
be. It's very difficult to sit for 10 days. A couple hours in the morning and a couple hours in the afternoon. Yeah, man, there's aches, pains, no doubt. It's probably one of the toughest things about it.
Yeah.
Pushing past physical discomfort and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, again, there's a lot of support at these retreats, by very, very capable teachers and stuff like that. And
do they have like deep heat and stuff?
Get it if you want. If you wanted it, you could have it, yeah. But there's a lot of explanation on how to sit as well and how to use cushions, and there's little meditation benches, and there's chairs along the side of the hall as well,
Yeah.
Because you are going to face physical discomfort, no question about it.
And is that part of building up resilience too? Just pushing past that?
To an extent. Don't, you can push. It's interesting. The mind is a mad thing. I remember a couple of years ago, I was kind of struggling with like backache and stuff. And I remember doing a meditation retreat and speaking to the teacher and saying like, yeah, I'm having back trouble, And the teacher told me to tune into what sort of thoughts and emotions are coming when I start to feel the discomfort and the pain in my back, And it was bringing up so much frustration, even anger and stuff like that. And this has been going on for quite a while in my meditation practice, Because I'd sit every morning and doing retreats as well and that, obviously. But yeah, I really started to work with that in my meditation practice. And I had such a strong resistance to it. I'd be sitting in meditation. I could be sitting for 10 or 15 minutes and I'm thinking, oh yes, lovely meditation, all is well. Nice and peaceful, nice and calm. And then the backache would come along and I'd start getting really frustrated. Like there's such resistance there. Such resistance to that pain,
Yeah.
And then I started just really working on accepting it. And another thing as well, like I'd be sitting in a retreat or something and my back would be aching. And then my mind would want to wander off daydreaming. And I could be off daydreaming for 5-10 minutes thinking about nice stuff. And no fucking pain. And then obviously the idea of meditation is like, okay, my mind is after drifting. Bring my mind back to my breath,
Yeah.
And the second I'd catch my mind, that I'd realize my mind is after drifting and bring it back on the job, we'll say.
Yeah.
Back comes the pain.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you know what I mean? What's going on here? A lot of it's coming from the mind. A lot of it's coming from the mind.
Yeah,
some
absolutely.
crazy stuff. Your mind can do some mad stuff in meditation retreats. Coming up with excuses and stuff to try and get you out of there, man. I know. Everybody does it. It's just the way the mind is,
It is, yeah. Yeah, it's got that escapism. And how did you deal with the back problem going forward then? Has it fixed itself?
I had so much more acceptance of it and it's got way less. It got way less.
Acceptance
of it, yeah. It's there, fine. But again, like at Ridaya, the school and the retreats and that, there's an emphasis on, especially with the yoga practice, the asana practice, because it's physical exercises, obviously. Well, not exercises, but postures. There's a big emphasis on finding the balance between effort and relaxation. And especially in the meditation retreats, it's like, don't push past pain. You don't want to be hurting yourself. Doing damage to yourself, injuring yourself, But just try and sit through discomfort sometimes, If you feel a bit of pain, feel a bit of discomfort, take 5 minutes before you move. You know,
Yeah.
no, I won't move now for 5 minutes. If it's still there in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I'll readjust. You know, maybe prop myself up on another cushion or something, switch legs or something like
Mm.
that. You know, just do something. But I won't move for another few minutes at least and see. And sometimes, like, it's just gone in 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
What I've noticed when I sit and try to meditate is I suddenly get itches all over the place.
Yeah,
What's the story with that? Like, what's the story with that?
Oh, I've been there, man. I've been there. It's just agitation.
It's just I have an
It's
itch
agitation.
under my armpit. I never get
I
itches
know.
or itch right in that spot in your back that you can't reach. It's like
That used
why
to be the
no?
hardest thing for me in the beginning. All these
Yeah,
sensations. You
yeah,
know, you have these you want to scratch and you're tingling and things
yeah.
like that, tickly spots, and you want to just rub your chin or something or scratch your ear and or rub the back of your
Yeah.
head or man.
Does that go away in time?
It settles down for sure. Yeah, definitely. That
Yeah,
used to be a big one for me now. I used to find it extremely difficult to sit still in the beginning.
yeah,
You know, and then for a while it's interesting. And then for a while, I was just putting so much effort on, like not moving a muscle for
yeah.
as long as I could, you know. And I suppose when I think back, without even realizing it, like I've kind of moved past a good bit of that stuff in my meditation practice.
Do you look
And
forward to meditation?
sometimes, yes, yeah, but still, sometimes it's still like sometimes it feels like a chore, you know.
Like a chore,
But for me, it's my number one non-negotiable in life, and has been for the last 3.5 years, is to meditate every day. That's number one.
non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. Meditate
Mhm.
every day. You
And
know, I'd miss the odd day.
if you're having a stressful time in life or whatever, let's say you have conflict during the day or something happens, you're like, I can't wait to meditate on this later, or I can't wait to is meditation a bit of an escape even?
I'm afraid it doesn't usually work like that. Usually, if you're fucking stressed and maybe like, you know, if you've got a bit of shit going on, that's probably when you need it the most.
Yeah,
But unfortunately, that's when it's the most difficult.
yeah,
But that's
yeah,
when you need it the most.
it
This
is,
is
yeah.
why I'm very adamant on everyday practice. Because when things are good and you feel content and you're happy and whatnot, it's easy to sit,
Yeah,
you know. But you know, if something gets triggered or you're stressed or something agitates or something like that, or any number of things happen in your life,
mm,
you know, and you get stressed or you get angry or anything like that, then it's really difficult to sit, you
yeah,
know.
I can
So
imagine.
if you're not doing it consistently, in my own experience, you have no chance when you really need to do it.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
okay, I
mean?
get you. Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
get me?
So you're building up that practice, that training, that muscle to be able to
Yeah,
use it when it's really
yeah,
needed.
absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. And you can just lose it so fast, you know, that kind of like, I suppose that level of awareness you have when you're meditating every day, you know,
Yeah,
that kind of like, I suppose you're building up like you said, building a muscle. It's like
capacity, better word.
a capacity to be able to witness your thoughts and your emotions. Give yourself a little bit of space, you know, give yourself a
Yeah,
little bit of space from your thoughts and emotions. If you're consistent with it every day, when a bit of shit does come up or you get agitated or you get stressed or whatnot, you know, you are able to sit. And I have sat many times stressed or agitated or whatnot. And yeah, like in the space of even an hour, just a huge shift, you know.
yeah.
It whatever was bothering you or on your mind or whatever you might have been agitated about or anything can be just like completely gone at the end of an hour long
And just
meditation.
because you've kind of
Psst.
had that space of stillness where you're like coming out of the whirlwind and looking at it from a bit of a distance, maybe, yeah, and
Yes.
been able to see it from a almost neutral position.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You know, it gives you a bit of space,
yeah, yeah.
you
Because it's
know.
very hard when people are right in something, when they're right in arguments or emotionally really involved in something. It's very hard for them to kind of see the intricacies of it, even,
Yeah.
see what might be wrong, or what,
Mm,
where it's really coming from, how much of it is emotion, how much of it is
yeah.
actually practical sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
But
yeah, so
the beauty for me about being able to like, if you can sit when like your emotions and that are turbulent and there's a lot of disturbance inside you, is like you can just allow it to pass,
yeah.
you know, by just sitting with it, you know, sit with it and it can pass. And
Mm.
once that passes, then it's like you're seeing, it's crazy the shift in perception. when whatever disturbance was going on inside you has passed and you're calm again,
Yeah.
your thoughts, it's you're a different person.
Yeah.
It's very, very different.
You're seeing the world through new glasses
You're
again.
seeing the world through new glasses. Yeah. Whatever was bothering you or whatever disturbed you has passed. And it's just like,
Shit, I need to get better at this meditation stuff. God damn
yeah.
it.
Practice.
Practice, man. I have to practice.
Do a retreat sometime.
Yeah, we won't go that far just yet.
Anyway.
I'll do it. I will. I'll do it, though. I'll have to do it. Because, no, I have been interested in it, and there is a
This is
lot
your
of...
karma now. You're being introduced to it, you know?
Thanks, Emmet. Yeah, no, I will. I'll have to do it, and then we'll come on and have another talk about how much I cried and fucking... Yeah, no, we'll see. But a big interest of mine is the natural world, and I call it the rest of nature because I don't see us as outside of it. So it's the rest of nature.
Likewise.
Yeah, I even tried to start a thing where we'd use the acronym RON to describe it, so that we were almost personifying it, and it's having its own agency and importance, and maybe a seat at the political table when we're discussing things sometimes. So, but we'll stick with the rest of nature for now. I think we're getting very, very, very disconnected from nature.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we go around in our little metal boxes, traveling from place to place, walking on our flat roads, going into our concrete boxes, watching our screens. I mean, we're monkeys, like, we're apes. We're like, you know what I mean? We really are. We
Yeah.
have language, but we really are. Like, we're designed to move over rough terrain at speed and often. We're meant to be moving and involved and engaged in the natural world, climbing trees, moving along on uneven ground.
And we've been that way for almost all of our evolution.
Yes,
Almost all of it.
Yeah, but now we have designed a world that we're not designed for. We walk around the world with perfectly flat floors, with all corners and curbs and stairs, all the seats and everything is made for us for our comfort.
Comfort.
Exactly. Yeah, and it really, I think,
no growth in your comfort zone.
There's no growth in the comfort zone.
No.
But how does yoga reconnect us with nature? Like, can the difficulty, the approach of sitting in difficult positions, even? Because sometimes I feel like there's the fact that we don't have any real danger from nature anymore. No, with climate change we could have existential danger, but I'm saying in our everyday lives, we don't have to worry about something jumping out of a tree and hitting us. We don't have to really keep an eye on where we're going anymore. I mean, I can travel from here to Australia without taking my eyes off my phone, without even getting wet or cold. Like, there's something wrong there. Like, that's a complete disconnect.
Massive disconnect.
So
massive. That's why I love hiking, swimming in the ocean almost every day.
So important. You swim in the ocean every day. Yeah,
most days. And that's not an easy thing to do in like December. That cold water exposure.
Yeah.
It's lovely now. Still, it's cooling down, but it's nice.
Yeah.
But when you go out there to Salt Hill or Renville or wherever, you swim and jumping into that North Atlantic when it's 5, 6, 7 degrees.
But do you know
it's not easy. It's painful, man.
It's not easy. But it's painful.
The way you feel afterwards,
it's great.
It's great. That's why so many people are into it. It's magic.
But do you know when people go to war and they get a real brotherhood going because they've gone through something? I feel like the friend groups we have when we're young, I feel like my friend group, we've had plenty of overlap in our friend group.
Absolutely.
I'll be loyal to them to the end of time because I don't have to agree with everything they say or anything like that, but because we went through something when we were young. Do you know, we were all what we were and we looked after each other or whatever, but it's because we went through something dangerous together. It's because we had danger.
Yeah.
We don't have that connection with nature anymore. We don't have that brotherhood with nature anymore. We're not going through anything dangerous with nature anymore. I feel like this is part of the disconnect, part of the cognitive and emotional disconnect, is that we don't have a brotherhood. We don't have a sense of kinship with nature anymore because we don't have that interconnection with it.
Yeah, you spend time in nature, man, as well, not just swimming, but hiking. And I was up in Glendalough and Wicklow there a few weeks ago. It's just a stunning place. Beautiful. But I mean, like, I love going off watching a sunset. I've done a good few sunrise hikes here in Ireland over the course of the last few years. Anytime I've been home, I've done a sunrise hike in Crowpatrick, another one down in Clare, and that, man, to be up on a mountain on your own at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning looking at the sun coming up, man, it's something very, very special about it.
I know another friend of ours that does the same thing,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
makes you realize too when you're looking out over like the sun coming up, and I love the landscape and that in Ireland, and sometimes even the weather where you can have like dark clouds and you'll have a blue sky over here
Yeah.
and rays of the sun just like bursting through, and you'll
Yeah.
have dark clouds over here, just the
Yeah.
contrast in the colours.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful, so it is,
It is. Yeah.
you
It
know.
is.
But
Did
nature brings just such a peace. Even like go back to Glendalough, I was up there. I'd done like a 6 day solitary kind of silent retreat thing up there
yeah.
about a month ago, I'd say. Was it 4 or 5 weeks ago,
Yeah.
more or less anyway. But like I remember a few evenings going down to Glendalough in the evening during the week when it was nice and quiet. There was no tourists there and that. And at 7, 8 o'clock in the evening, man, just sitting there for an hour looking out on that lake. And the lake was just like completely still. Like, I mean, that just brings so much peace to your mind,
Yeah.
you know? Just sitting there, couldn't have been more content.
Is it better to meditate in nature than, say, in a room?
Not necessarily. It's very nice to meditate in nature as well.
Mm.
But like, I mostly do it indoors, you know?
Yeah.
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 It's definitely beneficial for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is there anything about yoga practice? This is kind of where I was going. Is there anything about yoga practice that can
Reconnect us with nature.
make us realize our interdependence with nature again? Because like
Absolutely.
our breath, every breath we take is because a tree breathed
Trees,
out.
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
every breath we
Yeah.
take. So we're constantly interdependent with nature, even if we don't accept it on some level. But how does yoga help with that connection, that reconnection?
I suppose the more you come into connection with who and what you are yourself, you start to realize that you're not really separate from it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like yoga, you call it the supreme reality. I suppose Kundalini Shakti, which is like the creative force of the universe. In quantum physics, you could probably call it the unified energy field.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
there's something, every single thing in existence, especially living things, like something's driving them.
Yeah.
There's an energy.
Yeah.
They're alive because of an energy, something that's permeating through them.
Mm.
They all have an essence,
Yeah.
which comes from a source,
Yeah.
you know, which is not separate from the same energy that's permeating our body.
Yeah.
Something is driving us.
Yeah.
The same thing that makes you and me grow makes a fucking tree grow.
Yeah.
It makes a bird, a dog, an animal.
Yeah.
You know,
And
it's
science
the
still
same.
doesn't have a lot of explanations for that. And I'm glad you brought up quantum physics, because that is kind of bringing us full circle in many ways. I mean, our environmental science is doing it as well.
Yeah.
Our environmental science is like, we had the Enlightenment. We have, oh, cool, look what we can do if we just say we own everything and start using it for our own good, and kind of take moral out of it, and just, oh, land, we can do what we like to it and just use it for our own constructions of what we want. And we had everything separated nicely. And now our environmental sciences have come around to this kind of, oh, hang on, everything's interrelated. Of course, this has been this way for a long time. Everything's interrelated. If we mess up one thing, we mess up everything possibly.
Yes, it's all a big ecosystem.
It's all a big ecosystem.
And it's perfectly sustainable.
Yeah.
Perfectly, you know, the whole planet Earth.
Yeah. And
it's
now
one big ecosystem.
Now we go into quantum physics, and that's coming around to the, oh, hang on, we have like quantum entanglement. We have a lot of weird stuff going on down here that, okay, guys, I think we might all be entangled and interrelated and interdependent, and but we're not. That's not reaching our lived reality. Them kind of them scientific explanations of quantum physics are not reaching our lived reality. We're still living in this very separated,
very much
individualized reality.
Really forgotten who and what we are. More than any other civilization ever previously, I'd say.
Yeah,
you know, you even go back to like shamanism, things like that. They're very Celtic spirituality here in our own land.
Yeah.
You know, like the early Christians in Ireland. I think I mentioned a book to you the last time, Anam Cara.
Yeah.
John O'Donoghue. It's an amazing book about Celtic spirituality.
Okay.
You know, like even like before Christianity, they said like in Ireland they were pagans. You know, this is what they say, Saint Patrick.
Yeah.
Rid Ireland of all the snakes. You know, it's a metaphor. The snakes were the non-believers.
Yeah.
Or the pagans. They didn't believe in God, but believe in what God? God according to who? To the Roman Catholic Church. They were very, very connected, especially to the land. They're seeing the divinity in everything. Yeah. Celtic spirituality is beautiful. That's an amazing book. I highly recommend it. Anam Cara, I mean, soul friend in Irish. But the way this guy writes as well, it's I highly recommend it to anybody that's listening as well. It's a really, really good book about Celtic spirituality. And it's all about like nature as well. There's so much about nature. And he
Yeah.
speaks a lot about solitude as well.
Yeah. But
You
there's
know?
something about Christianity came, right? Christianity gave us a God that's not of this earth
Yes,
and
separate.
separate from this earth in some other place, controlling things. And also don't care about this life. You care about your next life, which is also not on this earth. It's in some other heavenly place.
Mm.
The pagans were all about this earth. They were all about the plants and the earth itself. Guess what? That's where the devil lives. For Christians, the devil is
Mm.
in the earth. It's a
Yeah.
very I think important thing that Christianity has done to the world is that it's made earthly things kind of evil.
Creating the devil.
Creating the devil.
The good thing about yoga and yoga and non-duality is like yoga teaches like that. Like everything comes from the same source.
Yeah,
The good and the bad. Good
yeah,
and evil. You
yeah,
know, there has always been good and evil.
yeah.
You know,
And they're this flip sides of the same coin kind of thing. They're not
yeah,
they're
just
not even indistinguishable really. Just different ways
exactly,
of understanding things.
exactly. You know, yoga is all about non-duality, which means you're not separate from the source. You know,
Yeah,
there's all
yeah,
sorts of like entities and energies out there in the metaphysical world and the spirit world or whatever you want to call it. You know, go into shamanism, like you learn about all that stuff.
yeah.
Do you know?
And
And I suppose
definitely
even here in our own country, ancient Ireland, like it's deep in our culture as well, like
deep in our
Celtic
culture.
shamanism as well. Oh, spirits and banshees and fairies and all of
Yeah,
that stuff
yeah,
as well. You know, there's
yeah.
a lot. There's a lot of stuff
But
going on out there beyond what we can perceive
oh yeah,
with our five senses.
for sure,
You know, we're
for
very
sure.
limited with
Very limited.
our five senses.
Yeah,
You
very
know,
limited. But we really don't think we are.
no,
We
like we
have
said a
that
while ago,
certainty.
we're still a bunch of apes. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
again, just look at what's going on in the world. You know,
yeah.
but I feel we're going through a big transformation. You know, big
I think we are too.
spiritual awakening. You know,
I really
I
hope
think
we
so.
are.
It's necessary.
It's absolutely
Otherwise, we're fucked.
necessary. It's absolutely, and we are fucked.
You
But
know.
it's going to take bravery, man. And I think there's a certain bravery to what you've done here. Do you
Hmm.
know what I mean? Because there is a certain bravery to kind of um to having the bravery to change. To say, you know what, I'm not happy. I'm
Yeah.
actually going to make that fucking change,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Not sure, but I'm going to chase
Hmm.
something. And I'm really delighted that you found something. Do you know what I mean? You
Absolutely.
found your correct right path.
But it's about us, you know, assuming responsibility and owning your own shit. You know.
Owning your own shit.
It's
Yeah,
a great quote by Rumi. Have you ever heard of Rumi?
I've
He's a
heard of it.
Sufi poet. You know, yesterday I was smart. I was trying to change the world. Today I'm wise. I'm trying to change myself.
Yeah,
It's the only thing you have the power to control is
yeah.
yourself and your own internal state. You know?
There's a lovely. It's not roomy now. I don't know where this came from, but it's when I was young. Um, I thought everybody was talking about me and thinking about me.
Hmm?
Then as I got older, I was like, I don't care what people think about me. Do you know? Fuck, I don't care what people think about me. Then I got kind of well old, and I realized nobody was thinking about me at all.
I heard that before.
Yeah,
It's fucking true, isn't
it's
it?
a very true thing, and
It's
I think
very,
once you
very
realize
true.
that, it's like everybody's who's in that kind of
Very
mindset is
true,
thinking
man.
about themselves and thinking about what everybody else thinks about them.
Yeah.
So you don't really have to worry about that.
Yeah,
People in the
exactly.
room don't care about you. They
That's
don't.
it, yeah. We're not the center of the universe. We are,
No.
but yet we aren't.
Yeah,
You
exactly,
know?
exactly.
You know?
Okay, for people who might be interested in yoga locally or wherever, what's their first? If someone listens to this and they're like, you know what, fuck this, I'm gonna try that meditation stuff. Or I'm gonna try. What's their first protocol? Do they go back to the room and try it themselves?
I mean, I suppose, yeah. I mean, I'm not on social media or any of that, but check out what's going on around in your local area and stuff like that. You know,
Yeah.
number one, first and foremost, I'd highly recommend anybody to do a silent meditation retreat at some stage of their lives.
Okay.
You know,
And
they,
would that be? Would you recommend that as a first introduction to yoga?
I
Why
mean,
not?
if you felt up to it, why not? You know,
Why not? If you need if you really need that change, like we said, we're talking about people struggling. If you really need that, Jesus, I really need something. I'm really unhappy. I really need something to change my life. Take the 3 days, go and try and do it. See how you go.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah,
But spend time in nature as well. Nature is
absolutely.
magic. Jumping in that cold ocean is magic. I'm
Yeah,
telling you, I've often done it on a day when I've been very stressed out, and you get out of that sea, and
yeah.
your stress is gone, man. It's been washed away.
That's
No,
something I'm
no,
going to
no,
have to get back into.
no
Jesus,
question
you're making
about
me
it.
feel bad about everything I'm not
No,
doing.
go take a yoga class. You could
Yeah,
find yoga anywhere now in your local area.
yeah,
And there's many different styles. Like I said a while ago, I think they're all good.
yeah,
They're all going to be good for you. Any class you go into where you can switch off for an hour or an hour and a half and just like stretch and breathe, it's
yeah.
going to be good for you. You're
Okay,
going to feel better after it.
okay,
You know, yeah, go to
okay.
some classes.
I will. I
Do
will. I
do a
will.
bit of
Yeah.
research on the internet.
Yeah. So
Get a book. Actually, get a
get a
book.
book,
Get a book on yoga
read it.
and read it.
Yeah.
Educate yourself and practice.
So
Put it into practice.
I have a couple of questions I ask everybody who comes on the podcast. One is there one epiphany that you can point to that's changed your mind more than anything else, that you can't see the world the same, you can't be the same anymore? Is there one epiphany that you've had that's changed your mind that much?
An epiphany. Let me think now.
Moment, realization,
Nothing's jumping out at me. What's the question again? Is the one epiphany I've had that has
changed you more than any other, where you've said, "Oh, I can't go back from that now." Do you know what I mean? Now I know this, or now I realize this. I can't
absolutely,
go
yeah.
back.
Now that you say more, yeah, man. Once I started yoga, it's funny. A good friend of mine at the school in Mexico, Rosa, she's from Gran Canaria, and we always used to be laughing. We used to be working in the kitchen, and we'd always be talking about this, and we'd say, "We can't go back now, Rosa.
Oh, really?
We've taken a red pill." Talking about the film The
So it's
Matrix.
yoga.
Once yeah, you can't go back.
So this path towards self-discovery, is it basically?
More or less, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, once you got on this path, and it was challenging in the beginning, doing all these retreats and stuff like
yeah,
that. And even the first year I was in Mexico, spent a
yeah,
good bit of time on my own, and at times I got lonely. I have to be honest,
yeah,
But I had many moments along the way, especially in the first year or two, where like, yeah, the tendency, the inclination, I was definitely thinking at times like, kind of wanted to go back to the old life.
yeah,
That was a bit of a like place of conflict, really, because it's like you're thinking you want to go back, but then there's another part of you saying like, "There's no going back, man.
there's no comeback.
It's only one way. Keep moving forward.
I love it. I love
Keep moving forward. There's no other way."
it. Okay, another question. If let's say we're writing a new story of what it is to be human, because the one we have seems to be a bit, oh, I'm not sure it's working out well. So we're yeah
To say the least, but
we're
it's good.
we're writing a new story of what it is to be human, what it is to be human in relation to nature and everything. You can put one sentence in that book. What's that sentence?
Practice yoga.
Okay, that'll do. That'll do.
Practice yoga and meditation.
Yeah, that's
Sit
good.
with yourself.
Sit with yourself.
Sit with yourself, man.
Okay, we leave that as the final answer.
Final answer. Sit.
Sit with yourself. Okay, no, I like that one. Sit with yourself. It's a
Yeah,
good one. It's a good one. Emmett, I really appreciate you coming on here,
no
bro. I'm
problem.
very happy and excited about the journey that you found that you're on. Uh, and hopefully you'll definitely come back and we can do this again and bring some more
Absolutely.
people a bit closer to enlightenment. And hopefully I'll be able to say, man, I've been doing it really well this time. I've been in the sea and all that, because right now I'm not, but I'll get there.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I hope I was able to answer your questions clearly and understandably
no,
for anybody listening. And
it was a very good chat. I really enjoyed
yeah,
it. And as I said, we were pointing to how little words can really describe things sometimes, that it has to be about experience. So I
absolutely.
hope we've just kind of made people reflect. If we can, that's always what I want out of this podcast. If I can help people reflect
Mm,
on things and then maybe shift them a little bit towards something that's better for them, better for society,
absolutely.
better for nature,
Yeah,
then happy days. So hopefully we've
absolutely.
done that. But Emmett,
Just one more thing, what you said there
yeah,
about, yeah,
please.
words and direct experience. I suppose what the beautiful thing about having direct experience of things is that when you have that direct experience, then you can convey it very powerfully in words, because
Okay, okay.
you know, you've had the experience, then you can
then you can
Then you
talk
can
about
use words to explain it.
it. Okay.
You
And even
know,
though it won't explain it fully, you still, I guess, have the right, or
still can be very powerful.
can be
I
very
just know
powerful.
from listening to very senior teachers lecturing at the
Yeah.
school in Mexico and France, and man, they've just continued to inspire me.
And is that because there's more than the words behind what they're saying? As in, they're saying it with
Absolutely,
a confidence and a gnosis that you can feel off them.
100%. It's
Do
a
you know?
transmission.
Yeah.
You know, it's a
Yeah.
transmission. They know what they're talking about. They know
Yeah.
what they're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, it's when you hear it, it's just something in you recognizes it, and it's
Great.
just like, yeah, you'd often have these like wow moments,
Yeah.
especially when they're answering questions. That's why I always know, like, the very, very senior teachers at the school that have been practicing yoga meditation for years, even decades. It's just their ability to answer questions. And I've
Yeah.
done like many lectures and things like that myself when I was doing a teacher training and stuff. And that's a difficult thing to do as a teacher, is to sit
Yes.
up there and give a lecture on yogic philosophy and practice, and to answer questions from students. And you
Mm.
just can see the experience in very senior teachers in the answers they give to the questions. Sometimes they'll answer a question and you're just like, whoa, you know, it's deep shit.
It is deep shit.
You
It's deep shit.
know, it's deep shit. You know,
Okay. And that's a lovely way to end it, actually. Thanks for that, Emmett.
thank you.
Yeah, no, we'll do it again.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And thanks for coming on here and talking about some deep shit.
Talking